Hey, and welcome to Hexagram 60. And let's get stuck into it. I got this one today, lines 1, 2, 5, and 6. So I've broken my record on the number of lines I've got. I've had this one before, and let's go into it. 60, limitation, self-limitation. The judgment, limitation, success, galling limits must not be persevered in. The sage here describes the cosmic principle of limitation, which states that limits apply to all of existence. Particular attention is paid to the difference between true and false limitations as they apply to humans. At the border of all cosmic limitation is fate. Its purpose is to put a person back within his true limits, which are set by the cosmic harmony. The principle of limitation makes us aware that humans, as aspects of the cosmic whole, are equal to each and every other species, organism, and particle of existence, each of which has its own dignity, consciousness, and worth within that whole. In this regard, humans are not free in the egocentric sense asserted by the collective ego to do anything they want with other species, creatures, individuals, or nature itself. Human freedom thus is held within the framework of respect for every other entity of existence. So long as that respect is in place, human freedom is enormous. Respect is part of the cosmic principle of modesty. I missed a piece there. Here we go. I just changed the screen. Respect is part of the cosmic principle of modesty. For example, as Hexagram 58, the joyful, makes clear, humans are not free to give fantasy names to things that fix them in spells. Neither are humans free to invent and use words and images that limit the cosmic consciousness in its ability to communicate with humans. True limitation also reminds us that we are not meant to accomplish tasks and goals without the help of the helpers of the invisible world, and that we are dependent on the whole for all our needs. Acknowledging this dependency is not something to regret, but to rejoice in, because engaging the helpers gives us both a feeling of relief that we do not have to do it all, and because it enables us to partake in the cosmic blessings. Cosmic limits ensure that a person can bring his uniqueness to expression within the framework of the cosmic whole. This happens when he takes his true place as an equal in the cosmos. By contrast, the false limits put on a person by the collective ego repress his uniqueness and creative self-expression and replace it with the fantasy and illusion of being special. This illusion, in turn, initiates fate. The false limitations exercised by the collective ego through its feudal power structure seek to press all individuals into its molds, since conformity is the only way it can maintain its order. Tremendous pressure is put on individuals who do not fit these molds to cut out of themselves whatever does not fit. This process, by which the growth of humans and of nature is limited, is accompanied by the casting of projections, spells, and poison arrows on both. In such ways, the collective ego interferes in the evolution and harmony of the cosmos. Other limitations put on the individual by the collective ego consist of rigid moral rules that repress and deny his animal nature. They are among the galling limits mentioned in the judgment. This repression is the result of beliefs that divide a person's nature into animal, lower, and spiritual, higher aspects, with his animal nature being designated as the source of evil. The demonizing of the person's animal nature has a far-reaching effect in that it blocks all his inner senses. With his inner senses blocked, he is no longer able to perceive that it is his very animal nature which connects him with the life force. Another effect is that his perceptive abilities become limited to the sole sense of outer seeing and hearing. Galling limits also refers to ideas a person has adopted that amount to thinking poor. Such a person feels guilty for being well off because he associates spirituality with the appearance of humility. Such ideas slander the gift-giving nature of the cosmos. Related to these are the false limits a person puts on himself by striving to develop his higher or spiritual nature through ascetic practices. See line 6. Receiving this hexagram is often to tell a person that he has exceeded the cosmic limits for humans and thereby created a fate. Fate is a law of physics in that it is a cosmic response to the disharmony created when a person exceeds his true limits. Having created a fate, he has deprived himself of the help of the helpers. He can free himself of this fate if he rids himself of the ideas that have created it. Among them are phrases such as, "We have to do it all," and "there is no help." This hexagram also is given to make a person aware that his belief that life has a beginning and an end has set false limits on his life that, if not deprogrammed, will make it a galling experience. See page 559, Glossary Death. Limitation also calls a person to rid himself of mistaken assumptions about the nature of physical phenomena that limit or prevent him from learning about their true nature. We are speaking here of assumptions which are based only on what is seen with the outer eyes, thus excluding, for example, the existence of the helpers of the invisible world, and that can be measured with some mechanical device. Such assumptions are often the result of what humans have hypothesized to be true and then projected into reality. Experiments that are undertaken to prove a hypothesis only prove that the power of projection is at work. See Hexagram 31, Influence. The only correct way to examine a hypothesis is to put it to the sage. The sage can then show the hypothesis within the framework of the cosmic way by pointing to one or more hexagrams. Among the mistaken conclusions that have been drawn from uncritically swallowing people's projections are, I'm going to list a few things here, that in nature there is such a thing as dead matter, that there is such a thing as random chance in terms of the cosmic way, that the cosmos works through opposite forces, example, that good and evil are both parts of the cosmos and that good fights the evil, that the ego is a natural and essential part of the personality, that there is a force of repulsion at work in the cosmos, that certain things in nature are inherently evil. All of the above phenomena are true only inasmuch as they are part of the parallel reality created by human projection. They do not describe cosmic reality. In regard to dead matter, hexagram 2, nature, shows matter to be compressed cosmic consciousness. In regard to random chance, every experience of consulting the I Ching shows that probability theory and theories of happenstance do not apply, but these theories do apply when the person is outside the cosmic harmony. The entire I Ching is a demonstration of the interrelatedness of everything in the cosmos. As to the force of repulsion, Hexagram 8, holding together, shows that the cosmos is held together as a system of harmony solely through the force of attraction between complementary aspects. There is no opposite force in the cosmos. Everything in the cosmos is held in its intrinsic space by a feeling consciousness. This is true as much for birds flying in a flock as it is for planets being held in orbit. As to regarding some aspects of nature as evil, the I Ching makes us aware that nothing in nature is evil to start with. Everything that is observed as evil coming from nature is actually the result of human projections that have demonized one or another of nature's helping aspects. This hexagram also speaks of self-limitation as necessary to define a person's intrinsic space. It means defining and adhering to what feels correct and harmonious while rejecting all aspects of the ego in oneself and in others, whether it be in the form of thoughts or deeds. This is done not by telling others what to do, for that is outside one's proper limits, but by refusing to join behaviours and actions when they feel inappropriate, and by refusing to accept treatment from others that would betray or decrease one's dignity. This refusal is always made through saying the inner no or an outer no if necessary. This hexagram also calls attention to the way a person's fixed beliefs limit his gaining a broader view of the cosmic way. Fixed beliefs put a frame of fixed dimensions around a person's picture of life. By deciding to accept this picture as complete, synapses in the brain are blocked that would otherwise allow the sage to teach him. It is as if his mind is like a bank of full postal boxes that contain his final opinions on every subject. This condition has brought his growth to a halt and locked his true self and its learning abilities in prison. Such a person experiences his life as being full of obstructions. The obstructions have the purpose of waking him up to this problem. Receiving this hexagram may be calling a person to rid himself of any one of the mistaken ideas listed above. He can identify them by consulting the sage through the RTCM. All right. Let's do the lines. All right. Line 1. Not going out of the door and the courtyard is without blame. The courtyard symbolizes the contained society of the collective ego and its rules and customs. Upon becoming aware of its devices, it is a person's tendency to want to see that social structure as responsible for all evil and to separate from it in an antagonistic way. Doing so would be going out the door. Here, however, the line says that not going out the door is without blame. This means that a person is not meant to set himself apart together with others like himself, as a faction against the collective ego, because that would be staying within the same feudal mindset he thinks he is leaving behind. Just going to highlight that one and come back. The mistake of antagonistically fleeing the existing social order is the result of thinking in opposites and either-or alternatives. Either you are within the society or you are divorced from it. To live within the society and still be true to himself, a person needs to distinguish with the help of his common sense that in what in the societal rules is arbitrary and purely abstract, and what is consistent with his inner truth. The real difference between a society dominated by the collective ego and a natural society lies in whether that society incorporates the helpers or excludes them. This line also is saying that we are not meant to leave society to become hermits in nature, but to consistently say the necessary inner no's to encroachments of the collective ego onto the natural social order. Evil in society exists only when we fail to say those inner no's. The person whose true self is fully matured gathers like-minded people around him. Being connected to his feelings, he forms the core of a natural society without having to erect a formal organization. His inner truth penetrates to others, thus draws the cosmic helpers into their lives. Influencing others in this way is without cosmic blame. This line can also be received by a person who is trying to evangelize others to his truth, carried by the desire to establish a new society. In seeing himself as the founder of a new society, he adopts a self-image and thus incurs cosmic blame. Another self-image addressed by this line is that of the person who believes that he is without blame because he has been good, meaning he has followed all the rules and standards of the collective ego. He too has adopted a self-image and incurred cosmic blame. Line 2. Not going out of the gate and the courtyard brings misfortune. Here is presented a circumstance where the group or organisation of which a person is a part is about to create a fate. In such a case, he is not obligated to remain in that group. It is rather his duty to say the inner no to its intentions and to leave that group in order to avoid becoming involved in its fate. Leaving, in this case, is meant to include outer action. This can apply to a partnership, a group about to commit a crime, or a national group getting involved in a war. Upon receiving this line, a person needs to ask the sage, through the RTCM, whether leaving, having said the necessary inner no, is the appropriate action for him to take. A person who says the inner no to his group's evil intentions engages cosmic protection for himself. This protection, however, is ensured only when he removes himself from the space in which the fate created by the group will take place. He will enjoy cosmic protection only so long as he abstains from self-righteously trying to correct the others. Firmness in refusing to participate in what is incorrect is what limits evil in the world. The helper of transformation is activated by saying the inner no. Let's say that second last sentence again. Firmness in refusing to participate in what is incorrect is what limits evil in the world. Line 3. He who knows no limitation will have cause to lament, no blame. This line concerns the half-truth that man is born free and describes the person who believes he has the freedom to do or think as he pleases and therefore allows the ego to run rampant. Such a person neither recognizes the natural limits of human thinking and action, nor the fate that is generated by disregarding cosmic limits. Such an idea comes from the human-centered view of the universe, through which humans see themselves as special. This view separates the person from the cosmic whole and, when acted upon, creates a fate. This line makes it clear that a person is responsible for everything he thinks and does, and that he needs to rid himself of the seed phrases, man is born free, man is born special, with the right to rule nature, and all the images that go with those phrases. No blame refers to the cosmic principle that no blame is incurred when a person voluntarily accepts the cosmic limits, at the core of which is modesty. Line 4. Contented limitation, success. contented limitation refers to a person who recognizes his limits and knows he is not meant to do it all. Because his attitude is in harmony with the cosmos, he gains the cooperation of the helpers of the invisible world, which is the reason for his success. A person may receive this line to inform him that because he correctly limits himself, he will achieve his goals easily. Line 5. Sweet limitation brings good fortune, going brings esteem. Sweet limitation brings good fortune refers to the nourishment that comes when a person limits himself to follow his inner truth. Inner truth is naturally in harmony with the cosmos and nourishes a person's self-esteem with chi energy. Going brings esteem refers to the self-esteem gained when a person leaves behind his mistaken ideas and the flattering goals of the collective ego that promise the esteem of others. This phrase also refers to the person who holds to his inner truth during times of turmoil. He finds, to his surprise, that he gains the esteem and respect of other people's true selves. Going brings esteem can also point to the mistaken idea promoted by the collective ego that a person cannot live as an island to himself and that he needs to gain the esteem of others. Or he may be told that there are times when it is necessary to compromise his values to get along with others. When a person discards such ideas, he finds that he is in the good company of the helpers of the invisible world. Line 6, and then I'll give my contemplations. Line 6, galling limitation. Perseverance brings misfortune, remorse disappears. This line can refer to the person who has limited his view of reality to what is apparent. What you see is all there is. This idea projects itself into reality for the person, making his life a galling experience. If, however, he will rid himself of this idea, he will be able to experience the underlying harmony that gives rise to all beauty and joy in life. Then the fate caused by his having limited his perception in this way will be extinguished. This line can also refer to sicknesses related to the gallbladder that are caused by the above false belief in mere appearances. Mistaken beliefs, such as this one, set up false systems in the body that inhibit or block its natural functioning. If the person so affected rids himself of this belief, he will be freed from its negative effects. Galling limitation also refers to the ascetic practices people undertake in their ambition to fulfill the images associated with being spiritual. It also refers to the extreme limitations a person puts on himself to fulfill any self-image, whether it be that of the athlete, the hero warrior, the top executive, or the person who sees himself as the responsible one. Such sacrifices of the body to a self-image create a variety of adverse reactions in the body which has been enslaved for those purposes. Freeing himself from those self-images and the ambition to perfect them removes the adverse effects and ends the remorse. See page 541, Freeing Yourself from Self-Images. Remorse is a helper whose function it is to help a person recognize that he is the one who has created his fate and that it is he who needs to remedy its causes. It is important, therefore, that a person does not try to ease another feelings of remorse. On having remorse, one needs to be aware that the ego will attempt to seize this feeling and turn it into guilt, which it then puts on the person's true self. It does this to distract him from recognizing that it has been the very element that is responsible for the remorse. Delicious. All right. Let's have a look-see here. So, working backwards from line 6. So, how this relates to my life right now is, like, I just ended my tenureship, my term with my mentor. And this mentor has been in my life for 4 years. 4 years. 4 years. And he really helped me turn my business around. And my life around, everything around, right? It's a beautiful journey. When you choose the correct mentor, it really is a beautiful journey. And how this came about is it's just been on the back burner. It's like, I think it's almost time for me to end this connection and allow it to be, I just take the space. And if I work with him again, great. And if I don't, great, right? But in that, this is the first mentorship where I've healthily left the relationship. Healthily left the relationship, right? And remorse showed up here. And remorse in the form of grief and the guilt that showed up. And one of his parting messages to me was that the last thing he said to me, because he said to me, you need to burn the boats and, either commit for another 12 months or, do something else. And straight away I was like, I want to burn the boat, but he is my boat. But in that was the guilt and the projection that I put on him that he was my boat. But it's me feeling guilty for leaving, like I'm letting him down or this or, there's something else. I said I was going to stay and it's like, guilt. Guilt seizes that true self, right? But I cried like a baby, for a good, couple of minutes. And I like that, And it brought up the same grief that I had when my granddad died, because I feel like my mentor helped guide me in a way that my granddad would have, like the wisdom. It was old wisdom, woven with new wisdom. And for me, that's it. And he didn't advertise himself that way, but my body knew, my common sense knew, this is the guy. This is the guy. And I made it happen. And you may have heard this in my other podcast before, or way how I speak to this, maybe in my video letters, my sales videos, is that I had 15 or 2 grand, $1,500 or 2 grand, right? I think it was 2 grand. And he said, well, give me what you can. Give me 1,500 and save that 500 for rent that week. My rent was like $480 a week. And let's just start. So I gave him the 1,500 and just did the things, right? And I made 60 grand in 3 months and completely turned my life around. But there was the commitment, right? I was being modest. I was being sincere. And now that I'm speaking to it, being able to thank the helpers that worked through him, the sage that worked through him, that could speak to my feelings, okay? He spoke to my feelings. I understood it. I got it. He got me, right? Resonated. It was attraction. It was love, right? It was love that brought us together. So in that, knowing that remorse is a helper, and sometimes you do need to let people go, whoever they are in our life, right? And what you see is all there is. What you see is all there is. Just assuming that your eyes, your physical senses are the only ones that exist. So he didn't see it, mustn't exist. And so that projects itself into reality. You've got to see the results. Got to see the results, right? The results aren't here yet. I can't see the results. Yeah, but they're there, right? Time is not linear, right? Line 5. So I got line 1, 2, 5, and 6 in this. And for me, I've been full of chi, full of so much chi since I've started doing this work with the I Ching. I get this, right? So like I said in some of the other versions, we're training Luke at how to wear underpants right now. So going to bed in underpants instead of a nappy. And last night, I heard him wake up, and I went into his room, and I said, "Hey mate, you need to stay in your bed." He wet the bed, so I need to take all the covers off and put a new sheet down, and then there's a chair in his room that Cassie feeds him. I said, "Mate, I need to go back into my room." He said, "No, I want to go into Daddy's bed." I said, "Mate, I can't. You're not coming into Daddy's bed. You need to sleep here in your own bed." I said, "Look, mate, I'll tell you what. I'll sleep in the chair, and then you can sleep, all right?" Because I didn't want him running in to see Cassie, because he said, "I want mommy." So no, mate. So I slept in the chair in his room instead of my bed, and I'm still full of energy. Normally that would exhaust me, but I'm pumping with chi. then it comes from this self-esteem of trusting my inner limits of like, yeah, cool, I can do this. This is good. I'm okay with this. I'm not sacrificing my body, but I know I can be here, right? So in that, knowing what my inner truth is and trusting my body, and limitation is really important in the deck of cards that I used to draw from Josephine McCarthy. Limitation was always a fucking theme for me. Because like I can go beyond the void. I can push what's beyond, right? Beyond what's allowed to be in here right now, okay? Like I surf the edge of consciousness so tightly that I can bring things in that aren't ready, or assume to bring things in that aren't ready. So I get all these limiters put on me. It's like, John, no, not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet. You're pushing. So being able to take 5 and enjoy my life, like enjoy the wares, enjoy the time I have here, right? Being able to enjoy all those things is really important. Man is born free and describes a person who believes he has the freedom to do or think as he pleases and therefore allows the ego to run rampant. This is really important, line 3 here, where, and I see this in the truth movement and other things, where it's like the ego will play both sides of the fence and like, yeah, I'm born free, I can do whatever I want. It's like, no, you can't just do whatever you want. There's timing and responsibility that you get by being in a body and being here, by honoring your truest self. That's what you're here to do. Your purpose is to be the most you that you can be. So holding back is also part of this doing as you please. It's like, well, you're holding back. You're doing as you please by holding back. It's like, no, it needs to flow through you. The cosmic way wants to flow through you. What are you holding back? What are you holding in? What don't you want to say? What are you not saying the inner no to? I don't want to say the inner no to. It's too much work, too much effort. Just say it. It's so easy. I haven't got the words for it. Okay? Not going out of the gate of the courtyard brings us fortune. So this group that I have a habit of leaving groups. Now I understand why. And the group container that I left, I don't know if their group's going to incur a fate, but for me, they're not following the cosmic way. So they're not following this. So they've got the ego model of mentorship, where it's like, have a goal and aim for it, You know, you can dream your vision up, create whatever you want as long as it's aligned, but then what is aligned if you're not connected to the cosmic way, right? You incur a fate. You just incur a fate. Something's off. You're not doing it correctly. You're just trying to do it on your own. And then the feelings are so important here. So, and then leaving, in this case, is meant to include the outer action. And I've left. And so now that I got this morning, this is a, let me check, where's the coins? I'm just going to get the coins. And then whenever I do, I'm not going to write it down, actually I might write it down, is I need to ask the question, what's going to be the question? Let's just write it down. Let's do it in real time, okay? So, is the line to speaking to me leaving my mentorship container? All right, cool. Got the question. All right. So this is the dignity piece. Like not like making sure that time and effort and energy is used correctly. Okay. Let's throw it up here. 3 heads. Okay. So it's yes, yes, yes. All right. Great. I don't need to ask any more questions about that. Definitely 3 heads. Great. Yes, yes, yes. Cool. Awesome. So, and that makes it really easy for me to understand. It's like, yeah, cool. I was in a line with cosmic harmony, because the temptation, I felt that in my body. It's time to go. It's time to go. It's time to go. Right? Checking, waiting, being in all that. Right? A person who says the inner no to his group's evil intentions engages cosmic protection for himself. All right? And then also not saving other people. So saving other people from their fate you incur their fate. So I'm not going in there saying, hey, guys, everyone else has got to leave the group because you're going to incur this fate. If that's even what the thing is, I'm just focused on myself here and my relationship with cosmic harmony. Also, this line 1 here, this one showed up for me before, okay? This line can also be received by the person who is trying to evangelize others to his truth, carried by the desire to establish a new society. In seeing himself as the founder of a new society, he adopts a self-image and thus incurs cosmic blame. Cool. The new society for me is everybody living in their own truth, whatever that looks like. And I can feel that fame piece in there, and that initiated that. I initiated that deconstruction, the helper of transformation, yesterday or the day before yesterday. So this identity piece of me wanting to be famous for helping people establish this new society is something that's being deconstructed, because fame in this context is a form of that the ego can just revel in, and for me, fame, like, is not healthy in that way. It's like, yeah, fame is fame, and I don't know if you know this, but I'm a big fan of tipping over sacred cows. That anything that has become a sacred cow for someone, I'm just naturally attracted to wanting to tip it over, make it transparent or whatever it is. How I'm doing that now is just saying in and no to things. Like I'm looking at things from a pattern perspective. Then when I see a pattern that's like, that's not in alignment, I just say it, in and no to it. So I give myself permission to do that. The person whose true self is fully matured gathers like-minded people around him. Being connected to his feelings, he forms the core of a natural society without having to erect a formal organization. That's what I'm here for. That's the thing. I don't need to make a Canva diagram. I don't need to create a not-for-profit organization. I don't need to do any of that stuff, right? I'd be me. And the force of attraction, love, will naturally bring those people to me. Naturally bring them to me. It's effortless. Can it be this easy? Yeah, it fucking can. It can. All right. This means that a person is not meant to set himself apart together with others like himself as a faction against the collective ego, because that would be staying within the same feudal mindset he thinks he is to leaving behind. So for me, like right now, I'm going through a huge Facebook purge of going through all these accounts that I used to follow, all these friends who are no longer part of my target market or all that kind of stuff. And for me, it originally it was like these people are wrong, but now it's like these people is not part of my market. And it's like, yeah, cool. That's they're doing their own thing. And there's the physical. Oh, let's check. Let's ask the sage again. All right. Is me unfriending people on Facebook part of this leaving too? All right. Get the 3 coins. Two yeses and a no. Okay, cool. All right, great. So for me, there could be potentially more questioning there to get that full clarity on that no. But it's fine. What I hear in that, my common sense is telling me this straight away, just be mindful of the people that I am actually letting go of or unfriending from. Make sure they are just people who are not from my market, or they're incurring a fate. And this another, and I can feel the sensation in my body of the 2 types of people that have been unfriending and unfollowing. I should be mindful of that. Let's be with that. Right, the other one here is by deciding to accept this picture as complete, synapses in the brain are blocked that would otherwise allow the sage to teach him, right? So what shows up here is when someone is not aware of their limitations, they onboard too much information. And then they become a know-it-all, and in that know-it-allness, the sage can't teach them. Sage can't teach them. So you can end up in your 50s, 60s, 70s, even younger. It doesn't have to be the age thing, where you know it all because you've got a qualification, you've got this, you've got that, and they become all these. You harbour fixed beliefs, which freeze your brain. They lock down your synapses, so you can't think any outside that. A big part of my journey here has been acknowledging that identity death and collapse is a part of this process. And if fates can be headed off so they don't become a collapse when you are present. Crossing over here with the 5 personality patterns, the rigid will be the one that would stay in a space to save face or be a part of a group that's popular or famous, right? You'd also find leaving pattern people will do the same thing. They'll stay in a community, outstay their welcome, or they'll feel that I have to leave, I have to get away from you all, need to go buy a property somewhere, permaculture farm, disappear to try and distance themselves from the collective ego, both physically and emotionally. The merging pattern person, again, would stay in there because they're getting all this love that they couldn't get from their mum and dad. Stay in a group, again, outstay their welcome. Endurer will do the same. The aggressive pattern person is more like to push people away, right? Or aim for that fame. So, hey, I've got this thing, like the Dispensers and the Robins, and like, no blame, it's just who they are, right? And you can see that through the patterns of their behavior. And I say no to all that too. It's like no to Tony Robbins, no to Gaia TV, no to the other guy that Tony Robbins works with, no to Joe Dispenza, no to this energy that they have that's about ascending and not love, right? No to not love, right? No to whatever that energy is that's incorrect, that's outside of the cosmic way, cosmic harmony. So in that, watching for the demonization of nature, watching for the demonization of other people's nature, right? For example, like the Pope, for people who have been accused of things, Epstein, for example, not demonizing the other person, being able to say no to that energy, does the work at the atomic realm. And what also is created here is a cosmic justice which is beyond man-made law justice. All right, what eventuates from operating that way is a wholeness in where we go, instead of always trying to seek culprits and getting people held accountable and guilty and thrown in prison or whatever it is. That's not the way. Right? That's not the way. There's another way that's available, and it comes from honoring your inner truth and saying the inner no to things that are not part of your truth, or things that you've been swept up in because it's popular or whatever, or it's your part of your belief system that you've put in there. Cosmic limits ensure that a person can bring his uniqueness to expression within the framework of the cosmic whole. When he takes his true place in the cosmos as an equal, by contrast, the false limits put on a person by the collective ego repress his uniqueness and create self-expression. By contrast, the false limits put on a person by the collective ego repress his uniqueness and creative self-expression and replace it with the fantasy and illusion of being special. Fantasy and illusion of being special. This illusion in turn creates a fate, okay? So the things that people tell you, okay, the accolades that you get. When someone says, like in the last video I made, this guy said, John, you're the most embodied version of Jesus that I know. I don't want that. It's not me. But he's projected it on me, so now I say no to it. It's like, yeah, cool. That's not me. Fantasy and illusion of being special. You said you're just like Jesus. And then the extension, going back into childhood, you're just like grandpa. You're just like mum. You're just like dad. You're just like this teacher. You're just like your swimming coach. You're just like this piano teacher. You're just like this. You just like Dave. You play drums just like Dave Grohl. You know, you sing just like Adele. All these things, all right. All these things are lock and key into the ego's inadequacy and the ego's desire for superiority, to be better than, and where that tickling, the honey in the ears tickling that people can get swept up in, is part of this too. So be aware of the part of you that gets swayed. outside of your common sense to be better than or less than. That human, the ascetic practices thing is really important too. Like, you can only be spiritual if you're poor. It's like, no, the universe wants to give you all the things, wants to share with you the things. Everything is equal. Here, have this abundance, have this. And make sure that you thank the helpers for it. And things behind the veil. What happens when you don't do that is you end up stealing from the cosmos and you burn out your chi. You age even faster. Oh, I've got this qualification. It's my PhD that got me that job. It's the PhD that made all those connections. The PhD, blah, blah, blah. My qualification. Yeah, cool, sure. And keep doing that and you just get exhausted. And you wonder why you're exhausted. Because you're not in cosmic harmony. So, that's what I got for you. Mad love. And I'll see you in the next one.